When I was younger, I just had this vague notion that I wanted to do something in movies, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just had this notion that I wanted to do something in it. And I moved out to California, Los Angeles, and went to LA City College, and I made two short films and then worked on my friend's short films. And then the first job I got out of film school was editing educational films. And I really enjoyed editing my short films, and I was like, well, this is fun. And I wound up doing that, and it just kind of snowballed into more and more cutting my friend's shorts, and then I got a chance to recut a film for Roger Corman Studios, or Roger Corman. And that's where I really started getting into it and really loving it. I learned a lot. That's a really good place to have been. Working for Roger was he had no patience for anything that was not good in the movie. So you had to, at least I did, always tried to stay one step ahead of him. And I knew, like, if he was gonna see a cut, that it had to be very tight and really down to the bones, because he would just say, take that scene out, or, you know, this is moving too slowly, cut it. And if you really cared about what you were doing, you were like, yeah, we could cut that, but it matters later, so let's try to save it. So at least with when I was there, I would try to make things really tight, and it was just a good place to learn, and everything moved fast, and it was a great experience. And there was a lot of freedom too, because there was so much going on. You know, it was often the case where in a couple of the movies I worked on, where they were short and we needed to take footage from another movie and intercut it with the movie we were working on, and that was okay down there. You just did that kind of stuff all the time, and it was really fun. Well, what I tell young editors all the time is they should just be editing constantly. If they really want to be an editor, they should not poo-poo any of the things they're working on. Like when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm doing these stupid educational films. But when I look back, what I learned on editing those was so helpful for my next job. And what I learned at Roger Corman's studio was so helpful for my next job. And just the learning process, and just being confident in editing a lot, you'll get more confidence, so that when a door does open and a job opens up, you'll be ready to walk through there. And that's what I tell young editors all the time. I got a job offered with a producer I'd worked with before, who said, we're gonna cut on Avid. You know the Avid, right? And I just totally lied and said, yeah, I know how to use that. And then he said something about me taking a class, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll look into that. But the class was really expensive, and so I was like, I can't take that class. But there was a really nice editor who was working in the room next door to me, Sonny, who was working on the Avid and knew it really well. And basically, he walked me in, he sat me down and said, this is how you do this, you do this, you do this. And it was very intuitive, and it was very film-like. So I quickly learned, I learned it all on my own without taking any kind of classes or anything like that. The whole way things used to work is different, but there's so many other, as opportunities are gone, there are new opportunities created, it seems to me. So, in the old school, there was the assistant editors that did a lot of the cutting, because it was just to go through film took so much longer and everything like that. That's kind of fallen to the wayside. So I try to support my team and try to push them to be editing scenes in the movie. And Alexander is really great about this too, we always offer to watch them, and as long as we can steal anything we like, which is fair enough. And I try to promote that they just keep on cutting stuff, like even coming on the weekends, use the systems if they want, cut short films or cut their brother's wedding video, or anything they want to do, that I promote that. I try to mentor people, I try to help them out, but there's so much of it's dependent on them, which maybe the way it always was too. You look for professionalism, cool people, people that are good fronts to your cutting room. Mindy Elliott, for example, we've been working together for years, and she's just a great front person for anybody, a studio or a vendor or anybody that's calling the cutting room. They are greeted with a professional person who's friendly and open, and I look for that. And of course, they got to be able to do their job on top of all that. So it's like a personality thing, but also they've got to really know what they're doing. I tell them that they should just edit constantly. If they can, even recutting films or, anything they can get their hands on to cut, because just the process of constantly editing will build up their experience and their confidence level. I think it's all about confidence. So that if a job comes along, even if it's a small job, they're going to go, oh, I know exactly what to do here. Or I don't know exactly what to do, but I have the tool set to explore and cut and make a project out of something. So I usually promote them to just keep on doing stuff, even if they think it's boring and they don't think they're getting anything out of it. They might be getting more than they think at the time. That's exactly how it worked for me. So that's why I tell people, and that may not be for everybody. Everyone's got a different journey to where they're going, but that's how it worked for me. I mean, I love my Avid, and I think that they are going to be working on the best tool available to them to be doing editing. And when they go out into the real world and there's going to be a job they're going to say, we have our television series on Avids, they're going to be able to walk right into it, and they're going to know the basic ins and outs of this system of the Avid. I think because it's so dependable and it's always working for filmmakers, in the movie industry, it seems to always be trying to make its product better and keeping in mind what we need. Big files, big projects. This project's huge with all the visual effects and everything like that, but it's all managed remarkably well. We don't have any problems. So that's a big thing. I guess you would have to say it's super dependable. You're one of the people that are closest to a movie, and that's a really great experience to have. There's really only a director and maybe a producer, but the editor is the one that is really touching the movie, even electronically, but really engaged with what's going on, or television show or whatever. You're the one that is right there with the footage, and you kind of have a relationship with it while it lasts, and then it's over, and then you go on to the next thing. But I think that is one of the great things. And you work with great people. I'm working with Alexander Payne, who's just awesome, and I've worked with so many other great directors. It's a great job. When a project's over, it's so in your head for so long. But at least with me, when it's done, or when I feel it's done, or when it's mixed and you're not doing it anymore and you're on the next one just takes over, and then you're constantly focused on that. But it is funny, sometimes I'll click on TV or HBO or something, and I'll see a movie I cut a long time ago go by, and I'll watch it for a while. And I remember I was watching Citizen Ruth once, and this cut went by, and the cut bothered me, and I'm like, oh, I remember that bothered us when we were editing. We couldn't figure out how to make the cut smooth then, and it still bothered me like 20 years later or whatever it's been. But that was kind of funny. I was like, it was not a good cut. It still wasn't a good cut, even 20 years later. But I don't know, films, they're kind of a living and breathing thing while you're working on them, and then they go out in the real world, and then they got to go do their thing. And then you hopefully are on to another one.